Speaking of Sean Strickland, who's been talking about him recently? I saw you put something
Colby
in the
Covington.
notes here. Covington, tell the people, what has he been saying? Because I never saw this.
Yeah, I mean, this was a shocker to me. Colby Covington, he was doing an interview, and he was talking about, just generally the state of things. And he said he had some pretty choice words about Sean Strickland. Said he couldn't hang at 170. He kept getting knocked out. And he has so much. I mean, do you want to just play the clip?
Yeah, let's
wash out my division. He couldn't handle it. My division. He got beat up, knocked out. So he had to leave divisions because he couldn't cut it. So. I think he's a bum. He's been hit in the head too many times. He's got CTE. So
straight up.
Yeah, straight up. Anything that guy says, you can't follow along. That guy's going to end up literally probably killing someone someday. He's under investigation right now in Vegas. Some drunk guy was wandering the streets in Las Vegas, like near his home. He goes outside the home, pistol whips the dude in the middle of the street. And so he's under like crazy investigation in Vegas right now. He's going to be going to court. So we're really going to take that guy's opinion on something?
Really?
Well, I think the incident that he's talking about is probably the one that we all saw, where the guy, what did he do? He'd beaten up his wife or something like that and then was running down the street. Sean goes out. I didn't see him pistol whip him, but I did see him pull the gun out. So who knows about that? But for Colby to say that he couldn't hack it in the division, all right, granted, he wasn't at the top of the food chain, if you will, at the welterweight division, but he moved up. Because I remember Sean Strickland when I used to train with him years ago at Mark Munoz's place. I forget. He was fighting at middleweight initially, and then he said, "You guys are all monsters. You're too big. I'm going down to 170." And I thought, Sean, you're out of your mind. 170. You're about the same size as me, give or take, And then, but he did it. He made 170 multiple times, and I would see him in the gym, and he would be walking around like he had a very, very serious illness. He was so skinny, you know what I mean? So it's not surprising that he got caught by the likes. I think it was Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, right, that caught him with the spinning wheel kick. You know what I mean? When you're cutting that much weight, you can't take a shot like I always say. But, Colby Covington is going to Colby Covington. So I think he might be talking out of his ass there. Who knows? That remains to be seen. And one last bit of news in the fight announcements before we move on to whatever dubious story Harrington has concocted for us. Darren Till, the gorilla, right? A lot of people say that I'm misguided or misjudged when it comes to my confidence in Darren Till. I still say Darren Till, if he came back, you're going to come for me, could come back and become a champion in the UFC. That is the kind of ability that this man has. Remember when he fought Dricus du Plessis? He had Dricus on the back foot for a while. Granted, he got finished. Granted, it didn't start well, but I think it was round 2 or 3. Before he got finished, he was doing very, very well against
heading into that third round, Darren Till was like a minus 400 favorite on the live line with the bookies. Like he was supposed to win that fight after round 2.
Swiftly moving on. Yesterday, Dana White announced Saudi Arabia, the one and only Khamzat Chimaev will be returning against Robert Whittaker. The only possible matchup that we never discussed on Monday. We discussed Sean versus Khamzat. We discussed Sean versus Whittaker, but we never discussed Khamzat versus Whittaker. Tremendous fight. Makes a lot of sense in the middleweight division. However, if I'm not mistaken, this will be the first 5-round scheduled bout for Khamzat Chimaev.
Not first one scheduled, but probably the first one he's actually going to make it to. Because remember, he was scheduled for a main event against Nate Diaz and then missed it by about 10 pounds or so.
Yeah, sure. But so the first 5-round fight that he's been in, which automatically, if you're in the corner of Khamzat Chimaev, you got to be concerned. One thing Robert Whittaker's not going to do is run out of gas. He's very, very experienced, fighting at the highest level for the long time. Without getting into the X's and O's, the obvious thing is Khamzat always gasses. He's a tremendous force of nature. I mean, the way he takes people down and dominates them right from the opening bell. I mean, he did the same thing against Kamaru Usman. Granted, didn't get the finish, but he definitely did slow down against Gilbert Burns. Same thing. He had a great round 1, 2 and 3 were kind of close. 5 rounds against somebody like Robert Whittaker. If he can't finish him early, that could be a disastrous night for him in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Ben, that was my initial thought too. But then what immediately popped into my head after is like, if Robert Whittaker gets beaten, typically, it's in like that first round, right? That first, second round. I mean, obviously we saw like Yoel hit him with thunder and dropped him, and Whittaker was able to recover and win that fight. But I mean, in the Izzy fight, it was an early knockout. The DDP fight, early knockout. So it's like he is a little susceptible to these super fast starters, who are willing to put the pedal to the metal. And it's like, if you're going to do it against anyone, Robert Whittaker makes the most sense because over 25 minutes, he's probably going to find a way to gain the upper hand and win that fight. So empty the gas tank early and hope for the best, Khamzat.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you were kind of a conspiracy theorist, you could make it both ways. You could say, well, they've made this fight so Robert Whittaker can win because, he can't go 5 rounds. But then on the flip side, you can make it, or they've made this fight in Saudi Arabia because Khamzat's Muslim. And in the first round or two, Robert Whittaker's susceptible and no one's as dominant early as Khamzat Chimaev. The reality is it's a bloody fight and anything can happen. And it's a good fight. It's a very, very good fight. Some other fights on that card as well, right, Harrington?
Yeah, we have Ihor. No, yes, fighting. Sorry, we got Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov.
Should we just do that little bit again?
Please, dude.
Edit that bit out, right? If you don't mind, buddy. So that's the main event. But what else have we got on that card, Harrington?
Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. Nice little heavyweight scrap there. Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez. Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir. And Shara Bullet versus Ihor Potieria.
Mr. One-Eye Pirate himself.
That's a hell of a card, dude. That is a stacked fight night.
No, it really is. It really is. And Jamal Hill, you never know. Him versus Magomed Ankalaev. They could happen on there as well.
Big fight booking, or not fight booking, but announcement. Remember the UFC signed that deal with Perth, Australia last year. They're going to bring like a certain number of cards over a certain amount of time over there. And they've announced they're going to this year in August, UFC 305. And the rumors are heavy already that is going to be Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Dricus has got to defend the belt, won it in January. So what would that be? August? That'd be 7 months in between. It's about time. You know what I mean? The only person then out of the top 5, if you will, that isn't booked is Sean Strickland. Khamzat, Whittaker, Dricus, Dricus, Izzy. Sean's probably going to get a matchup soon, but that's awesome. I was gutted when I saw that because I've got Australian family. Mm-hmm. I've got one of my best friends in the whole world, Jack, who lives in Perth. I was like, a free trip to Perth to see friends and family. But no, I won't be calling that one. Sadly, kind of have it all your own way. Izzy versus Dricus. That's an interesting one as well. Yeah, I mean, that is like, for all the talk and everything, like they did a good job of selling me that fight. Right, like when Izzy and Dricus were in the cage opposite each other and talking, some pretty colorful language. Be that what it will, I'm sold on that fight. I genuinely do believe there's bad blood there, and I don't think there's bad blood between Dricus and anybody else in that division. So yeah, give me all that you can get. Yeah, well, there might be bad blood between Sean and Dricus now as well. Okay, I feel like they buried the hatchet on that. No, I don't know. Well, they buried the hatchet. They had the fight, and then Sean started like complaining that he thought he won the fight, and then Dricus said on his Instagram, responded to, "Why don't you cry about it again?" Do you know what I mean? Which was a very, very good comeback. If you want to go there, if you want to talk shit, if you want to live by the sword and die by the sword, dick to dick, nipple to nipple, then that's what you get. Fair play.